Benedict, this is an absolute joke, man.
Yeah, I can't even pretend that I've got a spring in my step. I'm exhausted, you're exhausted. Everybody, the pilots are still on the concourse waiting. It's all
Are
a
they, though?
disaster.
Does an airline want to take these people?
Well, this is the point. They've probably gone by now.
Yes,
Well, why would you want to take them if you are an airline? We've had that before, haven't we? Where protesters have found their way onto planes, commercial planes, and passengers have said, "No, take these people off. We don't want to be on the same plane as people being deported," and then all sort of mischief gets up to. But yeah, this was. I think we all foresaw this coming. Actually, that the Lords would put as many obstacles in the way, and it's justified. Obviously, there needs to be real scrutiny of this, but to then send it back to the Commons, it just means that Sunak's proposal, his plan, that there are going to be planes off the ground by spring. Well, it is spring. It's not going to happen now. It's going to have to go back. And ultimately, I just think everybody has known for some time what this is. It's
Except
just a distraction
the man
tactic.
who keeps flogging a dead horse.
He doesn't even believe in it himself.
No,
I can't speak for him, Nick, but I can categorically...
But he's gone on record saying that he didn't.
Benedict, I can categorically tell you that the British public are not going to change their view of the Tory party in this government if one illegal migrant is put on a plane.
No.
The truth of the matter is, the very systems in the Home Office are broken, and I don't understand the political capital that he thinks he's going to get.
I think the problem is there's not enough time for him to turn around and go, by the way, this is a very expensive and very difficult problem, and it's going to involve very unpopular decisions, and we're going to start now, mere weeks, months before the general election. It's too late for that. They've wanted to avoid this precisely because it is a very sticky issue. There is one benefit that they can take from the planes not taking off, is that he can turn around to the electorate and say, look, if it's Labour next time round, you're not going to get anybody being deported. There's not going to be a fix. You need to give me more time to try to solve this issue. I don't think anybody's buying that, frankly. No. So I think it's a real desperate kind of gamble.
You used to say to me a year ago, he'll do everything he can and he can turn around and say that everything's been put in his way.
Yeah.
But I think the British people have changed, like they did about that tax, Benedict, because I think they're going, we don't want tax cuts because we're going to have to pay for it. I think they're going, we're not being conned. But then on the other hand, this evening at 8 o'clock, Harry Cole's new show, Sir Keir Starmer's here. I want him to say to Sir Keir Starmer, just be a bit specific. How are you going to deal with this problem?
Yeah, that's the key thing, is that, we can say, and it is justified, that the public just don't trust them anymore. They don't trust the Tories to get this done, and that they're tired and they're fed up. But if immigration is as key an issue as actually a lot of voters say it is, well, then they really are between a rock and a hard place. You've either got the incompetent Tories or the Labour Party, who are being very deliberately very quiet on how they're going to solve this, because actually it's a very touchy issue for a lot of their base. A lot of their base don't want there to be sort of controls on immigration. Perhaps not so much the ordinary voters, but a lot of party activists. That's sort of anathema to them. So really, Keir Starmer finds himself in a very difficult position as well. He has the massive benefit of a huge advantage in the polls, obviously, but on a lot of things, you notice the Labour Party are very cautious to get into detail, because I think they're a bit scared of their own shadow. They're as scared of these issues as well, because they recognise, the same as Sunak does, these are really difficult things to have to solve, and you don't want to start losing support before you even get into office. At least win the election first.
Do you really think they have been quiet on what they would do with regards to the illegal boat crossings? Well, I don't think they have. I think they've given an acceptable amount of detail for the party who are in opposition.
What? No. I don't think that that's true at all, because they are the heirs apparent. They are the government in waiting. I don't think it's acceptable for them to say, oh, well, we might not. Everybody expects them now. Everybody is looking to them to take over.
They spoke about treating the trafficking gangs as they would terrorist organisations. I've not seen the same level of commitment from the Tory party on that.
I think that that's very tough language, but what does that actually mean in practice? If you're dealing with organisations that are based in another country, does that mean we're going to approach it like the Americans do and drone these people? No, obviously not. So what actually is the solution to that? And then when you've got the Tories sort of dithering around what is the definition of extremism, that does play ultimately into how you also define terrorists. It's one of those things where you're sort of sitting there going, OK, well, it's very nice to hear you talking tough and saying, we're going to treat them like terrorists, but actually the British government has a very long and storied past of actually not being too hard on extremist organisations or, frankly, on criminality in this country. So do you necessarily trust them? Is it going to be a sort of the old Labour of the good old days that sort of does prioritise law and order and locks people up? I don't think it is, because I don't think that's a priority of a lot of activists within the party. So, as you say, it's one thing talking tough, saying, well, we're going to treat them like terrorists, but so is saying we're going to send people to Rwanda. And actually, in practice, what does that mean?
I don't mean to score points, but so is to say that we're going to spend £28 billion on the Green Revolution and then backtrack. I'm not... Yeah. Listen, I am more fed up with the Tory parties. I'm angry that this opportunity has passed them by, and I think they look like they've run out of steam and ideas.